Welcome to Life Stories. What would you do if your own sister abandoned her child at your doorstep with nothing but a heartless text message? This is the story of Jessica, a woman who never expected to become a mother overnight but found herself stepping up when no one else would. As she opened her heart to Emily, she discovered the true meaning of family, love, and resilience. This journey is filled with heartbreak, hope, and the unbreakable bond that can form in the most unexpected ways. Subscribe to our channel to begin today's story with Life Stories. Jessica had always believed that family was a sacred bond, one built on love, support, and understanding. She was a woman who cherished the small joys of life, baking cookies with her children, laughing over inside jokes, and feeling the warmth of togetherness during family dinners. But the day she received that message from her sister, Lisa, everything changed. It was a typical afternoon when Jessica's phone buzzed with a WhatsApp notification, expecting a casual update or perhaps a request for a favor. She opened it absent-mindedly, but as her eyes scanned the words on the screen, her hands trembled, and a sickening wave of disbelief settled in her stomach. "Great. Consider her your daughter now. I left her at your doorstep." Jessica froze. Her heart pounded violently against her ribs as she reread the message, praying she had misunderstood. But the words didn't change. Lisa, her own sister, had abandoned her daughter, Emily. Without a second thought, panic surged through her veins as she grabbed her car keys and ran out of the store where she had been shopping. The drive home was a blur. The only thing she could think about was Emily, sweet, innocent Emily, who had done nothing to deserve this cruelty. When Jessica pulled into her driveway, her breath caught in her throat. There, on the front steps, was Emily. The little girl sat curled up, her tiny arms wrapped around her knees as her body shook with silent sobs. Her face was streaked with tears, her clothes slightly disheveled as if she had been sitting outside for far too long. Jessica's heart shattered. She rushed to Emily, dropping to her knees and pulling the child into a tight embrace. Emily clung to her desperately, her small fingers digging into Jessica's sweater as if letting go would mean losing the last person she had left. "It's okay, sweetheart," Jessica whispered, rocking the girl gently. "I'm here now. You're safe." But deep inside, she knew that nothing about this was okay. Lisa and her husband, Mark, had truly abandoned their daughter, cutting off contact as if Emily were nothing more than an inconvenience. How had it come to this? Jessica thought back to the years before, to the first moments when she realized something was deeply wrong with the way Lisa treated her children. It had started subtly. A careless remark here, a dismissive comment there. Lisa had always been the type to chase perfection, to push for appearances over substance. She adored Ethan, her eldest, and constantly praised his intelligence, his achievements, his promising future. But with Emily, it was different. "She's a little slow, don't you think?" Lisa had once remarked over coffee, her voice dripping with casual indifference. "I mean, she struggles with basic things Ethan mastered years ago." Jessica had been taken aback. "Lisa, she's just a child. Kids develop at their own pace." But Lisa had been unconvinced. In her mind, Emily was flawed, lesser, a burden rather than a daughter to be cherished. As the years passed, the favoritism became impossible to ignore. Ethan was showered with praise, with gifts, with opportunities. He had lessons, extracurricular activities, a carefully structured path to success. Emily, on the other hand, was often forgotten, left at home while the family went on trips, ignored during conversations. Even meals were unfair. Jessica had witnessed Lisa and Mark pile Ethan's plate high while barely acknowledging that Emily sat at the same table, her stomach empty. It wasn't just neglect. It was something crueler, something colder. The turning point had come when Lisa convinced herself that Emily had a developmental disability. "She's behind. I just know it," she had declared one day at a family gathering. a triumphant glint in her eyes as if she had uncovered a deep family secret. Jessica had been furious. "Lisa, have you even taken her to a specialist?" Lisa had waved her off. "I don't need to. I've done my research. I've watched medical programs, her symptoms match exactly." Jessica had stared at her sister, horrified. She wasn't just ignoring Emily, she was actively trying to convince herself that her daughter was broken. And now, it had reached this. A message. A doorstep. A crying child. Jessica pulled back and cupped Emily's tear-streaked face. "Sweetheart. Listen to me. I promise you. You are wanted. You are loved. And I will never, ever leave you." Emily hiccuped through her sobs, nodding slowly, but the fear in her eyes, so deep, so wounded, told Jessica that it would take time for those words to truly sink in. As Jessica carried Emily inside, she made a silent vow. Lisa and Mark may have abandoned their daughter, but Jessica never would. That night, as Jessica tucked Emily into bed, she couldn't shake the anger bubbling inside her. The little girl clung to the blankets, her tiny hands gripping them tightly as if afraid they, too, would be taken from her. "Aunt Jessica, am I bad?" Emily's voice was barely above a whisper, but it hit Jessica like a dagger to the heart. "What? No, sweetheart. Why would you think that?" Emily hesitated, her big, sorrowful eyes searching Jessica's face. "Mommy and Daddy didn't want me anymore. Maybe I made too many mistakes." Jessica swallowed the lump forming in her throat and sat down beside her, brushing a strand of dark hair away from Emily's face. "Listen to me. None of this is your fault. Your parents, they made a terrible mistake. And I promise you, you are not the problem. You are kind, smart, and wonderful just the way you are." Emily let out a small sigh, though the doubt in her eyes remained. Jessica knew it would take time to undo the damage Lisa and Mark had done, but she was determined. Later that evening, as Jessica sat at the kitchen table, staring at her untouched cup of tea, her husband, Daniel, placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "We need to talk about what comes next." She nodded, exhaling sharply. "They abandoned her. Daniel. They didn't just leave her with us for a night or two. They completely cut her off." She shook her head in disbelief. "What kind of parent does that?" Daniel sighed. "Lisa always treated Emily differently, but I never thought she'd go this far." Jessica clenched her fists. She was always obsessed with Ethan's success. She wanted a child who could make her look good. And when Emily didn't fit that mold, she cast her aside like she didn't matter. Daniel sat down across from her. "We can't just sit back and hope Lisa comes to her senses. Emily needs stability." Jessica's gaze darkened. "Then we make it official. We file for guardianship." Daniel nodded. "It's the right thing to do. But are you ready for this? Once we go down this road, there's no turning back." Jessica didn't hesitate. "She's already ours. Daniel. Lisa might have given birth to her, but she hasn't been her mother for a long time." As Jessica reached for her phone, her heart pounded. She needed to try one last time to give Lisa a chance to explain herself. But when she called, the number was disconnected. She let out a bitter laugh. "She's really gone, isn't she?" Daniel squeezed her hand. "Then we move forward without her." The next morning, Jessica called a lawyer. As she explained the situation, the attorney's voice remained professional but laced with disbelief. "You're telling me your sister abandoned her daughter via text message?" "Yes. And you have this message saved?" "I do." There was a brief pause before the lawyer sighed. "This won't be difficult. The courts don't look kindly on parents who abandon their children." Jessica felt a mix of relief and sorrow. It was easier than she had expected, but that was only because Lisa had made it easy. For the next few days, Jessica and Daniel did everything they could to make Emily feel safe. They created routines, filled her days with laughter, and showered her with the love she had always deserved. Slowly, the tension in Emily's little shoulders eased. One evening, as they were baking cookies, Emily suddenly looked up and whispered, "Aunt Jessica, am I really staying here forever?" Jessica knelt down, looking into the little girl's hopeful eyes. "Yes, sweetheart. This is your home now. Forever." Emily threw her arms around Jessica, squeezing tightly, and for the first time since that awful night, Jessica felt like everything was going to be okay. Years passed, and Emily blossomed in a way no one had expected. Once a quiet, uncertain child who hesitated to ask for love, she grew into a confident and creative young girl. She discovered her passion for art, filling their home with drawings, paintings, and colors that reflected the joy she had found in her new life. Jessica and Daniel never regretted their decision. They had given Emily the love she had always deserved. And in return, she had given them something even greater, a deeper understanding of what it truly meant to be a family. Lisa and Mark, on the other hand, had faded into the background of their lives. Lisa had tried to take Emily back once, only after learning about her success in an art competition. But by then, it was too late. Emily had made her choice, and her choice was to stay with the family who had always seen her for who she truly was. Ethan, once caught in the expectations of his parents, eventually found his own way. He distanced himself from Lisa and Mark, realizing that their version of success had never been his own. In time, he rebuilt his relationship with Emily, no longer as the favored son but as a brother who finally understood what she had been through. Looking back, Jessica knew that love wasn't just about blood, it was about showing up, about choosing each other every single day. And as she watched Emily, now full of life and laughter, she knew one thing for certain. Family wasn't about perfection. It was about love. Subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming life stories.